The sky over Texas darkened without warning, as if an invisible curtain had been drawn between the earth and the sun. There were not enough clouds to justify that dense, orange veil that now tinged everything with a feverish hue, as if the atmosphere itself were in spiritual combustion. Cars pulled over to the side of the road. People stepped out of their homes, eyes raised in silence. On the horizon, a distant sound, deep, pulsating, metallic, vibrated like a trumpet piercing through bones. And then, in the midst of that artificial twilight, a bolt of lightning slashed vertically across the sky, without spreading, like a sword being driven from above to below. The ground trembled slightly, a tremor imperceptible to seismographs, but not to attentive hearts. Was it merely a quirk of nature or a direct sign from God? This question now hovers like an invisible cloud over the United States, especially among Christians who know the signs left by Jesus in the Gospels. In Luke 21, he warned, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." Matthew 24 echoes the same urgency. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Mark 13 reinforces, "When you see these things happening, you know that it is near, right at the door." Is it truly at the door? The phenomenon that just occurred in Texas is not merely a weather event. It has form, sound, presence, and a spiritual signature that many are recognizing. Witnesses reported feeling chills. Animals became agitated. Home cameras captured the strange metallic sound, as if something ancient were moving in the heavens, crossing layers that are not merely atmospheric. The media reported it neutrally: atmospheric anomaly, solar reflection, possible electromagnetic interference. But those who saw with the eyes of the soul know it was not just a play of light. It was a summons. And this call did not come alone. In recent months, the United States has been the stage for events that defy any conventional explanation. In Ohio, a spiral-shaped cloud descended like a silent whirlpool over a small town. In South Dakota, a sequence of thunderclaps was heard for nearly an hour without any storm, and each boom came with a vibration that made windows tremble. In Montana, a child pointed to the sky during a service and said, "He is coming." Are these signs isolated, or are they part of a prophetic tapestry that is now beginning to reveal itself? Those who read the scriptures with discernment know that creation groans. Romans 8:22 says, "We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time." Isaiah 24 declares, "The earth mourns and withers, the world languishes." Joel 2 prophesies, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke." Is this not what we have been seeing? Stained skies, columns of smoke rising from uncontrollable fires, blood spilled in inexplicable massacres. The earth is screaming, and the heavens are responding. But few are listening, because these signs demand more than natural eyes. They require spiritual sensitivity, the kind Jesus demanded of the Pharisees. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. Matthew 16:3. And today, that same rebuke hangs over many who claim to believe but fail to see that time is narrowing. What happened in Texas was just the latest note of a trumpet that has been sounding in stages. There was another sign in April when the waters of the Mississippi River turned red for a few minutes after a landslide. Authorities explained it with geological terms, but those who saw it felt it. That was more than mud. It was a reminder of the waters of Egypt when the Nile turned to blood. Further north in Minnesota, a church tower collapsed on its own on a windless day. Security cameras captured the exact moment when the bell, untouched, began to sway on its own. 3 minutes later, the structure gave way. The sound of the bell echoed through the town like an announcement. No one died, but many understood that it was more than a physical collapse. It was a symbolic fall. These fragments of reality are forming an increasingly clear picture. The trumpet is sounding. And not just in the heavens, but in the conscience, because the sky has already spoken, the earth has already groaned, the light has already flickered. And you? Can you still hear the voice of God amidst the noise of the world? Or have you been lulled to sleep by comfort, distracted by screens, intoxicated by the constant clamor of modern life? Jesus asked, When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? Luke 18:8. And that question resonates more powerfully today, when so many profess a shallow faith, but live as if he will never return. What if this is the last opportunity? What if that sound, that flash, that tremor, is the final call before time closes? Are you prepared to recognize Jesus if he appears in the clouds tonight, or will you hesitate, doubt, ignore, as so many did when Noah built the ark and the sky was still blue? Because we are living in the days of Noah. Days of mockery, unbelief, and scorn, but also days when the signs are piling up with surgical precision. Revelation 6 speaks of the 4 horsemen. They are not just mystical figures, they are spiritual movements already in motion: war, famine, pestilence, and death. Can you deny that these 4 have already ridden across the world in recent years? And now, the heavens are tearing the veil. That light in Texas was a rift, a tear between the visible and the invisible. A reminder that there are realities greater than the eyes can see. Hebrews 12:26 says, "Once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens." And that is happening. The trumpets are no longer merely symbolic. They are materializing in the skies, in the sounds, in the structures that collapse, in the lightning that cuts through cloudless skies. And each of these signs is a celestial sentence written in thunder. Prepare yourselves. And are you prepared? Because the heavens do not speak by chance. They speak by covenant. Every sound, every light, every vibration carries a coded message for those with spiritual ears. That is why, while some laugh or explain with scientific formulas, others weep because they know something is being announced. And it is not a meteorological phenomenon. It is a spiritual movement, an announcement from the throne, a summons from the Lamb, a final warning from the Lion. And what he is saying is clear: return to me, because grace is still accessible, but time is running out. The door is still open, but only for a little while. The bridegroom is at the gates, and spiritual midnight is approaching. Do you feel it? There is a restlessness that does not pass, a weight that is not psychological, a cry that comes from the heavens and echoes in the depths of those who pray, fast, and watch. In hospitals, children are having dreams of heaven. In prisons, men are surrendering to Christ after hearing sounds no one else heard. In schools, unbelieving teachers are witnessing inexplicable manifestations. In empty temples, there are lightning bolts where there is no rain. And all of this forms a network, a pattern, a prophetic mosaic pointing to the same reality. Jesus is returning, and he is not returning as a gentle lamb, but as a king with eyes of fire. Zechariah 14 says that the Mount of Olives will split in 2 on the day of the Lord. And what about the fissures opening in the earth across various American states? Sudden deep cracks in regions with no seismic history. The earth is splitting not just geologically but spiritually, because the kingdom that is coming will not be built on human structures. It demands the ruin of rotten foundations. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken, says Hebrews 12, and we are living through that shaking. What was solid is melting. What was certain has become uncertain. Institutions tremble, economies falter, governments lose control, and nature groans like a woman in labor. There is no returning to normal, because normal was spiritual slumber. Now is the time to awaken. Are you still sleeping? Are you still waiting for another sign? Still demanding one more proof? God has already spoken through creation. He has spoken through the heavens. He has spoken through the prophets. Now, he speaks directly to your heart. And the burning question is, will you listen or will you resist? Because resisting the Spirit is to seal your own fate, and accepting the call is to enter the time of vigilance, intercession, and holiness. Revelation 3:20 says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock." That door is your heart, but it is also time, because a prophetic threshold is being crossed, and once that threshold closes, there will be no turning back. Just as with Noah's Ark, when the door was shut, no one else entered. And that is what the Spirit is saying today. Enter now. Repent now. Sanctify yourself now, because the trumpet has sounded, the sword has cut the sky, and the Spirit has been poured out. Joel 2 promised that in the last days there would be visions, dreams, signs. And they are all here. Young people having revelations. old people dreaming of the return, men and women feeling the Spirit in a tangible way. And amidst it all, the physical signs, lights moving against the wind, noises rising from the ground, waters stirring without wind, flames appearing and vanishing in the desert. The heavens are in motion, the angels are marching, and the eyes of the watchful already see the approach of the day of the Lord. Are you seeing, or are you still blinded by distractions? Because the world wants your attention, your energy, your soul. But the heavens are calling you back. Return to the secret place. Return to prayer. Return to the word. Return to fasting. Return to holiness. Because the times to come will demand lit lamps, extra oil, sharpened discernment. The foolish virgins slept, and they missed the bridegroom. You cannot miss him. You need to respond to the call. You need to lift your head, as Jesus said, "When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." Luke 21:28. This is the hour to weep for sins again, to rend your heart, to preach as if it were the last time, to love as if it were the last day, because it might be. And if it is, what if there is no tomorrow? What if today is the last invitation from heaven for your life? Are you ready to stand before him? Or are you still counting on future mercy, ignoring present justice? The time is now. The signs are clear. The trumpet sounded in Texas, but it echoes in your soul. And you must decide. Will you listen, or will you keep walking as if nothing happened? The heavens have spoken. The earth has groaned. The trumpet has sounded. And you? Will you rise? Will you kneel? Will you pray as you have never prayed? Will you let go of everything that holds you, distracts you, pulls you away, because Jesus is returning, not as a symbol, but as a reality, not as a myth, but as the King, and he comes to reign, to judge, to save his own, and to close the door of time. There is still time, but not much. There is still grace, but it is being gathered like the manna that did not fall on the Sabbath. Today is the acceptable day. Now is the time of salvation. If you feel the Spirit calling you, say with your mouth, "I am watching." Declare it in the comments. Share this vision with those who need to awaken. Be a living trumpet in your home, your workplace, your city. Do not ignore what the Spirit is revealing. Pray, cry out, turn back. Jesus is returning.